My name is Fahim, and I used to live in the same house with my brother. Our house was very old and the cemetery wall was next to it. Often in the silence of the night I could hear sounds like the sighs of the wind coming from between the graves, but I didn't pay much attention to such things. My brother had 5 children who would play happily from morning to evening. Their mother would always hang around them, wash their clothes, cook for them, and their innocent laughter would echo in every corner of the house. I never had such moments. My wife didn't have any children, but to be honest, I had a strange hatred for children. I couldn't stand their noise and their mischief. When they played on the roof and their voices reached my room, a hot wave of anger would rise inside me. My heart wanted everyone to be quiet somehow, just silence. All this was my brother's doing. He had built this old house with his own hard work, while I was previously living in a rented house. My condition was bad, but my brother took pity on me and gave me the upper part. My wife never liked this kindness of his. She kept saying that we were living at his mercy. One day he would throw us out. I tried to explain to her, but every day she would get into an argument with the sister-in-law downstairs. If you're visiting the channel for the first time, please subscribe, and don't forget to like, share, and comment on the video. The sound of the dishes would turn into the screams of an argument. Then suddenly the house would fall silent. Sister-in-law was older, so she would often forgive, but my wife had poison in her mouth. She would start a new argument every time. Then one day came that changed everything. My brother left this world in an accident. When he was leaving, he held my hand and said, "Fahim, take care of my wife and children after me. I am leaving you with all the business and the whole house. Just don't make them cry." I agreed, but something else was going on in my heart. I knew that now was the time to transfer all the property to my name. A few days after my brother died, I announced to everyone that my brother had transferred everything to my name before he died. The ground beneath my brother's feet gave way. Tears started flowing in his eyes. He said in a trembling voice, "Fahim, my 5 children, if you want, stay upstairs, but let us stay downstairs. Don't send us to the room next to the cemetery wall. The children will be scared." I said in a cold tone, "If you want to stay, stay in the back room, otherwise leave here too." That room was right next to the cemetery wall. Old, faded, and scary. Bats hung upside down from the corners of its ceiling, and the fluttering of their wings could be heard at night. And sometimes it felt as if the footsteps of some unseen thing were moving across the wall. But I didn't give importance to these things. I only felt the peace that now the whole house was mine. My wife was also happy, she said, laughing. After all, the noise of these children was killing me. It was eating my brain all day. I smiled after hearing her, but I did not realize that with that smile, my peace was going to end forever. Because the day I pushed these innocents into the room built against the cemetery wall, that day something woke up behind that wall that could never sleep again. Sister-in-law and her children were forced to live in that room. They would sit in that darkness day and night. Fear and despair were clearly visible on their faces. But I thought that I had won everything. The house was mine, the property was mine, and life was finally back to normal. I would be happy every night thinking that fate had finally been kind to me. I did not even think that I had taken away anyone's right. Then, one evening when I returned home, the weather was a bit strange. There was a strange humidity in the air, and the redness of the sun was scattered across the sky as if someone had spread the color of blood. As soon as I entered the house, a dense silence descended all around me. I took off my shoes and stepped into the drawing room, and a girl was seen sitting on the sofa. At first I thought it might be my wife, but the next moment my step froze there. My wife was not that thin. It was a young girl with long black hair falling over her shoulders and a body so thin and delicate that even a slight breeze could carry her away. She was wearing a white dress and her face was turned to the other side. I asked in surprise, "Who are you?" But there was no answer. I called again and then a third time, but the girl remained silent. There was a strange chill in her chest, as if the air in the room had stopped. At that moment, the sound of utensils came from the kitchen and my wife came out with a glass of water in her hand. She smiled and said, "Fahim, take this water and drink it. How was your day?" I pointed to her and said, "Who has come to our house?" My wife asked in surprise, "Who?" I immediately turned and looked at the sofa, and there was no one there. The sofa was completely empty. I stood there like a stone statue for a few moments. My heart was beating fast. I was standing right in front of the door. If that girl had gone out, I would have definitely seen her. She couldn't have disappeared so quickly. I asked my wife if anyone had come, any of your friends. She laughed and said, "No, no one has come. Which girl are you talking about? It's just me and you here." I said in a panic. I saw it with my own eyes. She was sitting here wearing white clothes with long hair, sitting completely still. My wife touched my forehead and said, "I saw it with my own eyes. You are delusional, Fahim. You are talking strange things." Then he changed the subject and said, "Your sister-in-law came this morning, crying. She was saying, 'Poor thing.' Her children were very scared at night. She was saying that there was a sound of someone walking from the cemetery, as if someone was coming from the other side of the wall to their room and then going back." I said in a low voice, "Yes, I have heard this sound many times. Sometimes it really sounds strange." My wife gasped loudly, "Hey, your whole family is delusional. Come on, it's good that there are voices. Let's have some fun. What's the point of living with the cemetery if there are no voices?" I smiled after hearing what he said, but my body was trembling inside. I placed the glass of water on the table and said slowly, "Yes, maybe you're right. Maybe I was delusional." But as soon as my gaze moved closer, the same white cloth, the same long hair, flashed past for a moment in the mirror behind the sofa, just like the girl I had seen a while ago. After the night, I started seeing that girl again and again. Sometimes I would find her standing in a corner of the house, sometimes at the corner of the street, as if she was following me wherever I went. At first, I convinced myself that it was an illusion, but day by day she was becoming more and more shadowy and pure. Sometimes at night her reflection would be visible in the window pane. Sometimes, in the mirror, I would see the same girl in white clothes standing and smiling. Wherever I went, I felt as if she were right there with me. One day, I came out of the shop and sat at a tea house. It was evening. There was dust in the air and the sky was covered with dust. There was a road in front. Cars were coming and going. Suddenly, my eyes fell on the same girl standing next to a car. The same white dress, the same long hair, and the same deep red lipstick on her lips. Her eyes were fixed directly on me, as if she was waiting for someone. A shudder ran through my body. A friend of mine was also sitting with me. I said in a trembling voice, "Look, that girl is standing next to the car in front, looking at me again and again." My friend asked in surprise where I was standing. He said in a trembling voice, "Hey, it's the same one in white clothes right in front of me." He started looking in that direction, then he said, "Dude, there's no one there, not at all." I panicked and said, "Look, she's in white clothes, wearing red lipstick, and she's constantly looking at me. This girl keeps coming to my house too. I've been seeing her for days. I don't know why she's following me." My friend gasped, "Your luck is not that good. Fahim, such a beautiful girl should come after you." I went up and said, "Don't joke. I'm telling the truth." He then said, "I'm telling the truth. She's not standing there. I've seen it with my own eyes. I felt like my friend was playing some strange game with me. But now it had become a daily routine. The same scene happened many times a day. Wherever I went, that girl in white clothes would be seen standing at some distance, and it would touch my soul. Meanwhile, the atmosphere at home was also getting strange. My sister-in-law would fold her hands and say, "Let us stay somewhere else, Fahim, brother. This room is now suffocating. The children get scared at night and get feverish. This was our store before, full of dirt, smell, and dust." I kept saying in a loud voice, "Stay here, or else get out of here too." Hearing my words, she would fall silent and tears would fill her eyes, but I never pitied her condition. A few days later, a party was held at our house. There was a great commotion. People came, there was laughter and joy. After the guests were taken care of, everyone left late at night. There was plenty of food left. I thought there would be no need to cook for 2 days. My wife was doing something. I saw that she was putting food on the plates. I called out, "Hey, what are you doing?" But she didn't seem to be listening. There was a strange emptiness in her eyes. I then asked, "Where are you taking all this food?" She smiled and said, "Fahim, take this water and drink it. How was your day?" I pointed to her and said, "Who has come to our house?" My wife asked in surprise, "Who?" I immediately turned and looked at the sofa, and there was no one there. The sofa was completely empty. I stood there like a stone statue for a few moments. My heart was beating fast. I was standing right in front of the door. If that girl had gone out, I would have definitely seen her. She couldn't have disappeared so quickly. I asked my wife if anyone had come. "Any of your friends?" She laughed and said, "No, no one has come." "Which girl are you talking about?" "It's just me and you here," I said in a panic. I saw it with my own eyes. She was sitting here wearing white clothes with long hair, sitting completely still. My wife touched my forehead and said, "I saw it with my own eyes. It will last for 2 days." But she said nothing, as if she was following someone else's instructions. She kept putting the food on the plates. Then she put them in a tray and slowly started moving towards the back door. I was surprised and went behind her and saw that she was standing at the door of her sister-in-law's room, holding the tray. Sister-in-law opened the door. My wife half opened the food and gave it to them, and Bina came back without saying anything. She came and lay down on her bed as if nothing had happened. I couldn't believe it because my wife was never ready to give even a single rupee to these people. She always cooked separate dal so that their food wouldn't come to our house. And today, the same woman had given all her leftover food to these people. In the morning at breakfast, I asked her, "Why did you give them all that food at night?" She said in surprise, "When did I give you the food? It's in the fridge. Well, go and see." She got up and opened the fridge and was stunned. There was nothing there. I said, "See, you gave food to their room with your own eyes. I saw everything." She said in a trembling voice, "I didn't give it to them. I don't even remember. Maybe you were dreaming." I said sternly, "No, it's not a dream. It's true. They didn't have the courage to come to our kitchen themselves." My wife fell silent, but there was an impression in her eyes as if she herself was not able to understand her work. After that, the house became strange and strange. Movements began. Sometimes the doors would open on their own. Sometimes the sound of someone's footsteps would be heard at night. Sometimes the muffled sound of laughter. And sometimes the same girl in white clothes would stand in the courtyard and smile at me. And then, in the blink of an eye, she would disappear. The next few days were nothing short of a nightmare. Wherever I went, I would see the same girl, sometimes in the corner of the courtyard, sometimes on the edge of the roof, as if some unseen force had put her behind me. At night, I could not sleep. Even if I blinked, she would come into my dream. Sometimes she would smile, sometimes cry, sometimes stretch out her hands, and sometimes suddenly, out of nowhere, I would wake up drenched in sweat. My heart was beating fast, my breathing quickened. One night, I got up to drink water and saw that the kitchen lamp was burning. I slowly reached the kitchen, and there the same girl was standing, wearing a white dress, waving it slightly. Her back was towards me. I tried to make a sound out of fear, but my throat went dry. At one point, she turned towards me, and I saw clearly that her eyes were wide open, as if there was no life left in them. She slowly started moving towards me. I kept backing away, and then suddenly the lamp went off. When I lit the lamp again, no one was there. My wife was standing at the door. Fahim said in fear, "Who were you talking to?" I said tremblingly, "That girl was the same one in white clothes." My wife got angry. "Stop it. Now what is this confusion? Where is that girl? I pointed with trembling fingers. She was not looking at you. She was right here, right now. But she looked in every corner of the kitchen. There was no one there. After that night, she started to get suspicious of my behavior. She started to think that maybe I was in the middle of another woman. She shouted and said, "You keep mentioning some girl all the time." I said, "Believe me, she is real." She shouted even louder, "I am not crazy. Fahim, I don't even see a shadow of a girl in me. You are lying. You have made a confusion in me, because I myself did not understand what was the truth and what was what my eyes saw." My friends also started to distance themselves from me. They said, "Fahim, you do not look well. Your color has faded and you smell strangely, like old soil rotting." And the truth was that I myself was starting to feel that my body was losing its life. It's getting worse. When I look in the mirror, it seems like someone is standing behind me. Sometimes the girl is clearly visible. Sometimes she becomes a blurry shadow. One night, my wife entered the room and I didn't even see her. I was talking to someone. "What do you want from me? Why are you following me? Why won't you leave me?" My wife got scared. "Fahim, who are you talking to?" I said tremblingly. "You loser!" She turned around, but no one was there. Her face turned pale. She said tremblingly, "Fahim, something has captured you. This is not an illusion, it's something else." I started crying. She will kill me. Her eyes come to me in my dreams. I see them even when I'm awake. Even when I'm sleeping, my condition gradually worsened. I stopped leaving the house. Sometimes I would suddenly start laughing. Sometimes I would start crying the next moment. My words made no sense. My wife said, "You've gone mad." And I said, "A madman is someone who doesn't accept reality." One day, I stood in the courtyard and started shouting, "Come out! I know you are the one behind the trees. Look at the cemetery along the wall. Your white dress is waving." I picked up a stone and threw it with force. My wife came and held my hand and said, "Stop it, Fahim. There is no one here. You are fighting with yourself." I didn't laugh. "She is the one standing behind you." My wife looked back and the blood drained from her face. She was scared and backed away. The next day she started going to a certain Amal, but it was too late. I started talking to myself. At night, I would go to the cemetery wall and sit and talk to her, the one no one could see. I laughed. "I didn't take anything from you. Leave me alone." But her words kept ringing in my ears. "Fahim, you have taken my right. Now your peace has also gone from me. Now I don't even know who I am. My wife used to say that I have gone mad, and I knew that I am not mad. I have become a prisoner. That girl in white clothes was with me all the time, sometimes smiling, sometimes crying, sometimes whispering, 'Fahim,' who I had taken it back, but there was nothing left for me to return. My body, my thoughts, my soul, everything had become his. One day, I mustered up the courage and went to a Pir Baba. I was broken. As soon as I sat down, I said, 'Baba, I have gone mad.' My wife and friends all say that I am unconscious." Baba stroked his white beard and said, "Son, when a spirit or a demon repeatedly appears in front of a person, it means that it wants to tell you something or get you to do something. No one harasses you without a reason." I sat quietly and listened. He said, "Now, when they appear in front of you, ask them what they want." It was easy to say, but to do it was like moving a mountain. Still, Baba had said that this is the path for me. I left Baba's room and thought for a long time. His words echoed in my mind like a strange echo. I knew that the girl there wanted to tell me something, but I didn't have the courage to ask her any questions. Whenever she appeared in front of me, my body would stiffen, my hands would tremble, my heart would beat uncontrollably, and my breath would catch in my chest. But that night I decided not to run away in fear, but to face it now, because the limits of my endurance had been broken. At night, I was sitting alone in the courtyard. There was a bitter chill in the air, and the dust of the earth coming from the cemetery seemed to remind me of my sins every moment. Suddenly, it was she came in a white dress. It seemed as if the moonlight itself had descended to the ground. I could not even hear the sound of her footsteps. She slowly walked towards me. I closed my eyes in fear, but then I remembered Baba's words. I said in a trembling voice, "Tell me who you are and what you want from me." She remained silent for a few moments, then said in a low, pained voice, "Give back the rights of the poor, needy, and orphaned children you have taken away. This house is theirs. This business is theirs. Treat them with respect. If you don't do this, in just a few days you yourself will lose your senses. The world will say that Fahim has gone mad, and you will be forced to end your own life." Every word she said shook me to the core. My heart stopped beating. I started screaming. I said, trembling, "Which orphan did I take away from whose rights?" She bowed her head and said, "Those you pushed into the back room are your brother's children. They are orphans, and you have taken away their rights. Their home, their peace, their happiness have been taken away from everyone. Now you are suffering the punishment of this injustice. The ground has slipped from under my feet. My mind has stopped breathing. Is it true that the cries of my own brother's children were returning to me as punishment?" That girl then said, "If I don't return their rights within 2 or 3 days, I will take you to a place where there is no way back. People will say, 'Fahim was crazy,' and you will lose your mind and destroy yourself." Her words kept shooting into my heart like arrows. I was drenched in sweat. That girl disappeared into the air like mist, and I was left alone in the middle of the courtyard. One thought was echoing in my mind. I have committed a great injustice. I had taken away the rights of the orphans. I had taken away their homes. And now that shadow was following me. I thought, there is nothing more important than life. If I return everything, maybe they will leave me. I decided right then and there. I will return everything to them as soon as morning comes. I will lay my head at their feet and apologize. I will only ask that the girl in the white dress never comes again, because if she is seen now, I might lose my mind. The next morning, as soon as the sun rose, I started to turn my decision into reality. I had been absent from peace for many days. My heart was standing on a wandering shore. The first thing I did was take out the old papers that my brother had left. The documents had my name stamped on them, but now those same stamps began to curse me. I picked up a pen and, swearing, wrote down the decision to transfer everything to my sister-in-law. This decision was not an easy one. Shame, fear, and a broken promise were all rising up inside me at once. I called a lawyer, got the papers completed, called 2 witnesses, and in one night everything was placed in my sister-in-law's hands. They held the papers. There was a slight moisture in their eyes, a silent smile on their lips that had no doubt. It was just a relief after centuries of exhaustion. They hugged me. The children held me tightly, their little hands wrapped around my neck. For a moment, I felt that this was the smile that, therefore, everything in the world can be staked. I bowed my head and said, "Everything is back. This house, this land, this business, everything is in your name. Treat it as you see fit. Just treat us like your own family," sister-in-law said in a low voice. "We are not your own," sister-in-law said in a low voice. "You take care of everything. Just take care of us." There was a weak but true love in her tone. The sadness that had been accumulating on her face for many days was slowly melting away. She was reminding the children of their father as she ran her hands over their heads. Her eyes were moist, but there was no hatred in this moisture. There was only a faint glimmer of long, tired hope. I bowed down before her. I admitted my mistake, my injustice. I said, soaked in tears, "I have committed a great injustice. I have taken away their rights. I have taken away their peace. I apologize." Sister-in-law stepped forward and held my hand. Her hands were warm. Her voice had the strength that after years can heal a broken heart. She said, Let the children know that you are my own. Consider them as your backbone. Take care of them. This is our biggest prayer. You hurt us, but when you returned everything, now you are also part of us. Keep this forgiveness on my soul." It was as if a heavy stone had been removed. My breathing became lighter. It was as if my heart was learning to beat for the first time. When my wife heard this news, she was filled with anger. She stepped out of the house with a storm of resentment. There was a taunt in her voice. "You have gone mad." First, she was killing us and scaring people. Then suddenly, she is also returning all the property. Her face was red. Sparks were in her eyes, which were enough to scare me. I tried to stop her, but she closed the door tightly and left. Her words were falling on my heart like a punishment. She left with her mother. I thought that maybe time will fix everything, but with her departure, a strange wall of alienation was built in my heart. I explained to myself that this is the price of my sins. Still, her departure has deepened the love in my heart. Now I had only one goal: children. To bring back the smile of the child, I told my sister-in-law, "It is my responsibility to keep the children happy at any cost." I bought new clothes for the children, gave them toys, took care of the school fees and tuition, got the back of the house cleaned, brought good food. I left no stone unturned in fixing everything. People started talking. Fahim has changed. Now there is a different seriousness on his face. I started sitting less at night near the wall of the cemetery, and gradually that girl in the white dress was never seen. There was never a lustful voice in the air, never a shadow like he had completed his work. Life slowly started to return to its normal rhythm. The laughter of the children permeated the house. A soft smile came to Bobby's face. I felt that perhaps I had done something right. But it was not easy to make my heart, which had been broken like a piece of clay, the same as before. As days passed, I became closer to Bobby. She started to accept me as her own children. The children gave me the same place that my brother had before. I told the children stories, participated in their games, and subdued my inner hardness. I suppressed my pride and greed. The villagers now spoke to me respectfully. Some people watched in silence. Some would silently move forward. I learned that respect cannot be bought. I truly decided to change my life. One evening, I was sitting alone in my room. There was a light knock on the door. Bobby was standing there. The laughter of the children was in her hands and a kind and gentle peace in her eyes. She said, "Our house is now full of you. Appreciate what you have given us." Their children came and sat in my lap. I laid my head down, I stroked her hair, and a long, sincere prayer rose in my heart. That night, I felt for the first time that my torment had been overcome. That girl in white clothes never came before me again. Perhaps she had fulfilled her message. Perhaps she had set me free. I came to appreciate life, saw the end of my deeds, and most importantly, I became human again. Time passed. I made many attempts to convince my wife. I wrote letters, prayed, but she still remained cold. I knew that it was not easy to revive trust. Still, I did not stop praising. I made my life better. Every day I woke up with a new intention for the children. Sister-in-law had forgiven me from the bottom of my heart, and she said, "We trust you." Her words became the proof of a new life for me. Just take care of us. These words of hers became the greatest comfort of my life. The feeling of placing my hands on the children's heads settled in my heart like a deep light. It was as if I had regained everything I had lost. The darkness inside me was gone. Slowly, it started fading away, and that white-clad girl became a lesson for me that whatever you take away from others, one day she will come and stand behind you. I accepted all my sins. A new permission had spread around me, and now I wanted to live in this permission so that no innocent person would bear the burden of suffering because of me. Life sat for several months and then returned to its old path. Every day I would talk to the children, teach them, tell them stories, help them with household chores, and confess my sins to the Almighty. It was a quiet night. I was sitting in the courtyard. A light breeze was blowing. The sky was calm and the moon was bathed in full light. Everyone in the house was asleep. I was silently watching the sky when suddenly a cold wave passed by me as if a familiar stranger had arrived. I raised my gaze and saw that the same white-clad girl was standing in front of me. This time, there was no expression on her face. There was no hardness in her eyes, but a soft, gentle smile, as if an old prayer had been returned. I asked Dima, "Have you come again?" She said in a low voice, "Yes, but this time I don't want to scare you. Today, I have come to see the children whose rights you have restored." She slowly walked into the room where the moon was shining. The door was half opened, where this group was gathered. The moonlight was pouring down. She sat down next to the children. She placed her hand on the head of one of them. She smiled at the face of the other. A soft, gentle breeze came out of her lips, and a faint fragrance spread in the air. Then she said, "These children are refugees. You have restored their rights and changed the direction of their refugees." I stood at the door as if my feet had sunk into the earth, but a deep ocean of peace rose in my mind. After a while she got up, turned around and said, "Now you are free. Your mind has become a thought. There are very few refugees. I will never be able to see you again, but whenever you pray for these children, I will be there to deliver it." I asked Ashtri, "Who are you? Why are you so jealous of these children?" She said in a quiet voice, "I am the soul protecting the bird that their father once made. I have been taking care of them ever since you separated them from your home. Now that you have fulfilled your duty, my duty has also been fulfilled." Saying this, she slowly retreated. A faint light spread around her. I blinked and she was already there. Only the moonlight remained and a sweet fragrance was in the air. That night I breathed true relief for the first time. There, Akarti was no longer an enemy, but was about to show the mark of salvation. I went to bed. The children were sleeping peacefully. Their faces were shining with light. I deeply appreciated in my mind that sometimes even the wandering shadows, they become a treasure when the mind starts speaking the truth, and after that night, Akriti was never seen there again, but her blessings remained silently in our house.